talk some
Yeah.
Hueytown. I'm curious to learn. I haven't got to see you guys much over the years, so uh, first, just kind of tell me like this 2023, this past season, how it went for y'all, how you felt like the season ended for y'all.
To be honest with you, I mean, I think overall it was a little bit of a disappointment, but I've kind of come a little full circle from that. It's hard to talk about that without rewinding a little bit. I've been here. This is my 8th year, 5th year as a head coach. I'm finishing up. Coach Scott Manziel is the one that hired and brought me here. I told him after my first year here that, I thought this place could be a gold mine, but there had been a tremendous amount of staff turnover, which is crazy. I think we're fixing to finish like our 104th or 5th year as a school, and the longest tenured coach in Hueytown history is 11 years.
Oh wow,
Um,
I'm looking at
so
that now. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's been a real roller coaster ride if you look at the record. Um, And, I get a lot of the credit because I carry the title as a head coach for some of the stuff that's happened over the past 5 years. But I know if you talk to anybody that's had any success, like I might be the last one responsible for it. We've been really fortunate since I took over, to keep a core group of guys here. I was actually a position coach when I took over as the head coach. Both coordinators stayed. We were a real tight knit group, and we got 4 or 5 guys that's been here 5 years or longer now, which is longer than most of the head coaches have stayed here in our 100-year history. So that was my thing when I took over, is wanted to create some stability, that when a sixth grade or seventh grade kid comes on Friday night to watch us play, they still see the same faces when they get here as a freshman. And that hadn't happened for a long time. And the few times that you do look back on the history website that you probably got pulled up
That's the
is
one.
when they have had, when Hueytown has had some runs of success. It's when a coach had been here 4, 5, 6 years, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, that was my biggest goal going in, was just to retain staff, attract, the best coaches we possibly could, and just show the kids, hey, we love y'all. We're here. We're not going
Mm.
anywhere. And because of that, I feel that's been the biggest secret to us kind of stopping that roller coaster ride, and
Yeah.
we were actually at Benjamin Russell in the second round. We felt really good going into that game in 2023 with the matchup. We knew Malcolm Simmons was going to be a headache
Ooh.
for us. And he's proven that.
Yeah.
I think he just did that at the track meet too. Um, but and their quarterback's name escapes me, but
Gabe
he
Benton.
had yeah, so he had some inconsistencies throughout the year, and he probably played his best game of the season against us.
Wow.
And Ben Russell put us out in the second round, and we were really let down because we got a taste of that state championship for the first time in school
Yeah.
history in 21 and lost to Clay by 4 points. And
Right.
so you want to get back, you want to get back, you want to get back, but just standing in the end zone after the game while kids were packing up, getting ready, having a conversation with my coordinators and my principal. And I said, my first year as a head coach back in '09 at Summerton Christian, I went 0-10. And I said, this is a lot better than that, even though we lost. I said, but if our school, our staff, and our community is disappointed with second round losses, then we're doing something right. We've
Yeah.
changed. Culture is a word that gets thrown around all the time, but and it's kind of all encompassing. But I feel like the expectations and all here have been set a little higher, and we are disappointed with 6-5 or 8-4 or whatever it might be. That we really see us and our program as a quarterfinal or better team every year, and if we don't get there, we feel like we dropped the ball.
Yeah. I wanted to touch on you mentioned, kind of the turnover all throughout Hueytown's history, but you'd mentioned getting a staff that has stayed on longer than head coaches have and that kind of thing. How did you create that stability? Like what went into, I mean, yes, attracting, but retaining.
I think first of all, one of the main pieces of the wheel you got to have is administration to back you, and we've had super support. Here at Hueytown, the principal that left me, or that hired me when he left to take a job at the State Department. Our assistant principal that had been here like 8 or 10 years got the job, so we had a relationship already, that was established. And that's the second thing. Just this is a relationship business. And just being a long time assistant, in the state, and just getting to know guys and developing and build those relationships so that you can pick up the phone and call Keith Etheridge at Auburn or Sam Adams at Oxford and go, hey, I don't know this guy, but I know y'all have crossed paths. And it just helps me go. I'm not a real big guy about just pouring through resumes. When I know I'm going to have an opening, I want to go find who I want.
Yeah.
And having those relationships built with a lot of coaches across the state gives me, that leeway and that freedom to, go ask some questions about guys before I ever get a resume or even post a job.
Yeah. Let's talk a good bit about, excuse me, about this upcoming season. Uh, I'm going to hit it right off the bat. How big of a deal is it that Hillcrest is out of 6A Region 4?
It's big. I kept them on the schedule.
Yeah.
Me and Coach Mitchell have a great relationship. Respect what he's done there. You know, when I go hunting games, it's been difficult for us to find games, since the 21 season. And I tell guys when I call them, I go, guys, we've been beat in the second round the last 2 years. Like, I think I called like 64 schools before I filled my schedule. And yeah, and I can't remember. I watched a couple of your interviews with Coach Gaines and
Yeah.
Coach Floyd, and I think one of them mentioned that too. You just
Yeah.
it really becomes a daunting task, but that's the biggest reason I kept them on the schedule. In 19, my first year as a head coach, we went to the quarterfinals, got beat by Opelika, and every one of us in the conference room after the game just looked at each other like we weren't ready for this competition with our
Mm,
regular season schedule. Like we've got to kind of step up the
yeah.
competition level. And I said, well, guys, I can do that, but y'all need to remember that when it's week, 4 and we're 1-3, But I did. I went out and did that in the next reclass cycle and put people like Clay on the schedule. We already had Hillcrest and also, added Ramsey, a couple of years. And we
Yeah.
did. We started 1-3 2 years in a row, but it it just really, when you roll into those second, third, semifinal games, it's not the first time you've seen that type of competition. And, I just think it's something necessary to do.
Yeah, well, I mean that was my next thing is, Hillcrest might have ascended to 7A, but you mentioned keeping them on the schedule as a non-region game. I mean, you're non-region, play Chalkville, Mountain Brook, at Hillcrest, and at Pinson Valley. Not too shabby of a non-region schedule right there.
Yeah, I think Coach Gaines tried to outdo me on that when I saw his schedule, but and I think it was him that mentioned to you the same thing. Yeah, I, at the end of the day, I don't care what record they put out beside my name. The only record that really matters at the end of the day is the playoff record. And you do need to see those type of competition, but I also seek out coaches that I trust. and that I have a relationship with. And, for the most part, they hold their kids accountable, and it's just
Mhm.
not going to be a debacle if things go south. Because, I remind some of my young coaches all the time, I have been 0-10. I have been on the other side of the field where people could have scored 100 on us, but you didn't, and, there's a little bit of that been lost in the last 10 years of,
Sure.
you know, offensive laden, score as many as you can. And we've been accused of that too. I think we set a record, us in Spain Park, or it might have been us in Northridge, for the most points scored in a game a few years ago. But it's just one of those, like I said, it's truly a relationship business. Um, and I look for good teams to play with coaches I have a relationship with and those games are fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. I wanted to ask too, like I got really into I guess in December, I wrote a really long story about reclassification and just kind of how crazy that is for coaches, like
Yeah.
especially the coaches who are at a school that's kind of teetering on, it's silly season. Are we staying 6A? Are we going to 7A? Are we dropping to five? All those things, and trying to fill out 3 to 4 games max non-region, and just trying to show how much of a puzzle that really is for you guys, because I've learned that that's crazy. Like you mentioned, you called 64 schools like for 4 slots. It's crazy. But I'm wondering, I'm looking at your schedule here, and I don't see this much these days. Maybe I'm not looking hard enough, but was it just part of trying to assemble the schedule where it looks like y'all are opening with Clay Chauvel and then you take an open week the next week? How did that kind of
Trust me,
play
that
out?
is not what I want. I did not want a bye week that early. When we have our region meetings, basically you draw a number out of a hat, and that's the
Okay.
week you draw for your bye. Obviously
Oh,
that week I could have filled with a non-region, but in order to get somebody that I was willing or wanted to play, I had to kind of move that around and be willing to take that. I could have taken week 10, but me and my staff, that's not something we've kind of been on board with. I know a lot of people do it,
sure.
going into the playoffs, but we just didn't feel like that was what we wanted to do. So I kept Pinson at the 10 and
Yeah.
just went ahead and went and took that bye week 1.
Well, it just, I
It'll
mean,
make for
again,
a long season.
yeah, well, and it shows just like these schedules are not easy to make. Like there's so many like little things that go into it. It's like, yeah, you might have your 6, 7 game region schedule and it's fairly well set. But those other 3 or 4, I mean, I don't know. People think it might be easy, like, oh, just call up this coach, get it on schedule. It's not that simple.
It really isn't. The most anxiety I had when I saw Hillcrest went up to 7A was, oh my God, I got to find another game, because they didn't add anybody back to our region
Right.
since Central had just joined us. So, that I think Jamie was the first one I called. I was like, "Are we still going to play?" And he's like, "Yeah." He said, "I didn't think you'd want to." I said, "Yeah, I want to play. I don't want to have to find anybody else."
That's awesome, man. So before we get into 2024 roster, that kind of guys on the team, your first year was it 19 as head coach?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
It
So
was.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like I saw y'all play at Briarwood or something one year. I know I
Oh,
saw Roydale Williams in person.
I
I don't
think
know.
we played Briarwood.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Somewhere
I
in
know
there,
we
18,
played them
19.
twice. Since I've been here, we've played them twice. Didn't beat them either time. I do remember that. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember if it was 17, 18, 18, 19. But
Okay.
we did play them.
Yeah. How special was
Yeah,
Roydale?
phenomenal kid, great athlete. I mean,
Hmm.
God blessed him with a tremendous amount of talent, and he took advantage of it, did what was necessary. Um, he always walked in the door with a smile on his face. I told Coach Saban when they were recruiting him, I said, maybe he'll be on time for you because I give him a hard time still. I said, you know, he never got in a hurry around the building, but when he got his football pads on, it was a different story. But I still give him a hard time about that. We actually took a trip a few weeks ago. Staff went down to Florida State and met with them, watched some spring practice. Got to watch
Wow.
him a little bit. So I think he's in a good place.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I mean, it's hard to keep up these days with the portal, and I forgot that he's at FSU now. Not a
Yeah.
bad little pipeline from Hueytown to Florida State.
Yeah, that was a good connection. And Coach Norvell and them, have a great relationship with Jameis and his dad Antonor. They've been phenomenal to us, and obviously they made a few phone calls and helped us get that scheduled. They rolled out the red carpet for us. It was really good to get behind the scenes.
Yeah,
With there wasn't another high school staff allowed into some of the meetings that so it's nice to have those
yeah.
people in your corner when it's stuff like that. But yeah, they got some. They're doing a lot of construction down there. Going to have some awesome facilities, and the stadium's tore all to pieces.
Gosh.
But yeah, that's the state of college football in the portal
Yeah.
now. You never know who's going to wind up where.
Mm-mm. No, and I've
Kind
heard.
of
I
like
mean,
kind of like that in high school now too, isn't it?
yeah, it's definitely trickling down at a rapid pace. I guess I can't use the word trickling. It's just man, this keeping up with the Joneses stuff is it's kind of crazy to see. But Coach Norvell, like what's he like to you? Like as someone who's never met him and has only seen him on TV and that kind of thing. Like he seems like just an A1 kind of guy.
He was phenomenal to us. The most energy of any human I've ever been around. It's unbelievable. The only other person that I've ever had access to kind of be close and watch was Scott Cochran when he was the strength coach at
Oh yeah.
Alabama. Yeah, he's a different. In a very interesting way. Didn't have a practice script the whole practice. Staff told us he memorizes it every day.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
He knows the offense. He knows the offensive call script, and he knows the practice schedule by memory every day. He doesn't carry one around at practice, and that
Wow.
was like that just jumped out. Yes,
That's
phenomenal.
wow.
But yeah, after they do their pre-practice stuff to start practice every day, he races the D line 100 yards every day.
Oh gosh. He does have some energy. Wow.
He does, yeah. But
Man,
he's
so
a cool guy, man. He's great to us. Very open the doors up. Anything we ask or needed, he was accommodating.
that's great. So in Hueytown, 2024 coming up, what do you feel good about? How do y'all, give me the roster outlook. How many guys are returning, that kind of thing. How you feeling about it?
Yeah, I'll start out on offense. I lost my coordinator to your hometown, Hewitt Trustful, uh, and in the process of hiring an offensive coordinator, unfortunately, because of the way school system worked, he has to finish there. Hadn't been board approved here, so I'm not going to tell you who it is just because of that.
Sure.
But we do have that lined up and working behind the scenes, just waiting for all the
Oh yeah.
boxes to be checked at central office. But got a quarterback return in Jabron Ellington. Had a really good year last year, dual threat quarterback. We've got three offensive linemen returning.
Awesome.
Lost some guys at wide receiver that we've got to have some young guys grow and step up in that spot. Um, lost a running back, Jaquel Rouser. We've got a couple of young guys, that we're really high on to step up that got some snaps in playoff games because of Rouser's injury. But and then on the defensive side, we'll be a little thinner depth wise at D line. Since as long as I've been here, D line's been our deepest group. We got some really talented kids that had to play behind two really good seniors that are moving on at D line, but depth wise, that'll be our biggest question mark on that side of the ball that we've never had to deal with before. But like I said, do have some really young guys that did get some meaningful snaps during the season. But when the weight of the world's put on your shoulders as the guy, it's a little different. So, got an inside linebacker returning, got two corners returning. So we chose not to do traditional spring this year for the first time ever, because we did have returning starters at key positions. So we're doing the 2 hour a week deal without pads on, and we'll start camp a week early. Not sure if I like it. I think it kind of worked in our favor, honestly, since I did lose my offensive coordinator. To not spend the whole spring doing one thing and then having to flip the script
Right.
and change in the summer. So, yeah, I mean, we're excited. We do have some holes to fill and some question marks that probably
Yeah.
won't get answered to that first week of camp uh, with a couple of replacements. But we do have a good core group on both sides coming back, and we got a challenging schedule ahead of us. And just excited. I mean, that's why we do this. We're competitors, so
Yeah. What are you looking forward to most about this season?
seeing those young guys that did get a few reps late in the season because of injuries or whatever, just stepping into their role, and proven to themselves and to everybody that they're ready. That's always probably the most exciting thing for me as a head coach, because I don't coach a position, and I get to move around practice and watch every group and every kid. Is just seeing the light bulb moments and those guys like, hey, I'm the guy, and I am prepared and I am talented and I can go, and just stepping into
Mm.
some of those leadership roles. And I'm excited about that for Jabron, a returning quarterback. He filled some really big shoes last year when he took Earl Wood's place, and just watching him grow through the year. He's a really good runner, but he progressively got better throwing the ball all season. And it's been fun just, losing our offensive coordinator. He had a little questions, going into our 2 hour a week deal, but now
Mm.
he's starting to get comfortable with some of the new stuff. And just, I'm excited to see him just emerge with the confidence that, hey, I'm our leader, and just lead our team, where he wants to take us.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you this, just because I'm not as familiar on a week to week basis with Hueytown. Usually I'm at a certainly a Hewitt Trustful or a Clay Chalkville or a Spain Park or Hoover. I'm one of those type places on Friday. Uh,
Yep.
what what to you is what's the most special thing about Hueytown to you?
Oh, wow. Personally, it's been really good to me. Um, our city has gradually become more and more involved, and I've mentioned relationships several times,
Yeah.
but just my ability to get to build those relationships that I began as an assistant before I took over as the head coach, and then once I was the head coach, kind of being able to step into that role more and get involved with city council. Our mayor carries chains for us every Friday night,
Really?
that type of thing. But just seeing more and more of the community every year kind of get pulled in to hey, this is going on 5 years and we hadn't had a 3-7 season, and it's just seeing it grow around the programs, seeing our kids. We try to do as much community service to get our kids exposed, to the community. And
Yeah.
I try to preach to them, like, you can't expect them to come pay 8, 10, $12 to sit in the stands and cheer
Right.
for you, and then they never see you,
Yeah.
in the community anywhere else. So seeing our kids figure that out, seeing other people in the community that doesn't really have a kid or a grandson or something play that still come to games,
Yeah.
and just some of the pride in the community, because they do have a lot of pride in this program, even though it's been up and down for many, many years. Just seeing some alumni, I've been here long enough now that got a lot of players coming back. I can turn around on
Mm.
Friday night and, there's 10, 12, 15 of them on the sideline cheering us on. And, that's special. And I know a lot of other places have that, but just those relationships that are really tight knit, and success, a little bit of success, everybody wants to be a part of it. And we've been God's been good to us, and we've been really fortunate in that area, and hope to continue that.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I didn't realize that the mayor carrying the chains. That's certainly unique.
Yeah, and I can't remember what year it was. It might have been 22. um oh no, you know what, it might have been COVID year, when everything was so crazy. I
Yeah.
was like, hey, because we don't know what's going to go on, I'm just going to hire the officials to do it. Man, he was mad at me. He was mad at me all year. But last year he actually transitioned out of that. We do a live stream broadcast like a lot of places do over the NFHS network, but instead of using a little automated camera, I bought the stuff to produce it ourselves. So we have students out of the building that run the camera. We
Wow.
have a TV production academy here at Hueytown. So I've pulled some of those kids out of that academy. They run the computer and the software that does the editing. They run the camera that shoots it. Well, the mayor's son, Jake, that played here, had been my color guy on the play-by-play broadcast,
Yeah.
because the play-by-play guy left. So Jake's doing the play-by-play now, and he got our mayor, his dad, to come be his color guy for him. So he tells me all
Awesome.
the time how much he misses being on the sideline with the chains last year. But it's nice to have him in the booth too, with the people that choose to spend money to advertise with us, and he's our mayor, and he can talk about them on a real personal level,
Yeah.
for being in this community for so many years. And he can tell some history about Speedy's Mexican restaurant or Uncle Sam's barbecue that even I don't
Right.
know. So it's been a neat transition for him too, and it's been good for us on our broadcast.
No, that's cool. That keeps it really tight knit too. I like
It
that.
really
That's
does.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is it? I don't know. Like you see all the. I don't know. I got weirdly curious about this. Did it take a while to get used to your mascot being the Golden Gophers? I mean, that's just kind of a unique mascot.
It is. It's different. I don't remember how long it took, but it might have even been the mayor that told me. So the story I was told, the school started in 1921, and Minnesota won the national championship that year. So
Uh,
that's why they named it after the Golden Gophers. I was like, okay, interesting enough, and I'm trying to be a better person, but I got a little bit of what in me, so I tell my kids all the time, like, I'm old enough. I remember when Alabama wasn't the greatest, when after Bear
right.
Bryant passed away and they
Yeah.
went through their run of coaches. Like, not
Hmm.
everybody in the country feared the Crimson Tide, and I said, it don't matter what our mascot is. I said, they'll start respecting that mascot when you start putting W's in the win column.
Bingo.
So I've kind of been a little bit of a jack about that for to
That's
try to use
interesting
a
though.
PG term. And there's a lot of people try to make a big deal about it. But I've tried to just embrace it. It's something
Yeah.
that's out of my control. Can't change it. So we've tried to embrace it. I don't have one on now, but my former DC, that's now the head coach at Corner, uh, kind of went online and found some mock-ups and made us a little bit cooler looking gopher head that we
Okay.
liked. better. And so we have incorporated it and tried to put it
Wow.
on a lot of our stuff. So, like I said, it's just one of those things you try to embrace it. It doesn't matter what the name of the mascot
Yeah.
is. If you go out and win ball games,
No, that's
you'll
it.
earn people's respect. So
Yeah, I just wondered like what kind. I was glad you gave that like kind of where it came from. That's because it's a unique one, especially for Alabama. And I had wondered where the genesis of Golden Gophers came from for Hueytown. So apparently it comes from Minnesota. How about that?
that's what I was told. Now, whether that's true or not, anyway, hey, I bought it. They got me hook, line, and
Make
sinker, so whatever.
well,
I just took it and run with it.
I'm hooked too. That I mean that I mean it makes sense. So that's really cool. Well, Coach, I really appreciate you doing this, and hopefully, I know the coverage area that we cover. I know we'll be covering that Mountain Brook game certainly on September 6th. We don't get to see you guys much during the season, but maybe come playoff time, we'll cross each other on a sideline somewhere. So certainly appreciate you doing
I'll
this, and
take that.
yeah, and wish you a lot of luck this season.
No, man, I appreciate you having me.
Thank you, Coach. I'll see you soon.
Have a good day. Thanks.
You too.